Derek, thank you for joining us here today.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
It took you 2 years to write the book. There's lots of great anecdotes. What can a reader hope to take away from all of this?
This is a book about how to get people's attention. And in the 21st century, we're all in the attention business. We're all little media companies. If we're all little media companies, you should study the strategies of the most successful media companies and understand how they make hits, understand how they get people's attention and how they monetize it and turn it into enormous businesses. You know, we're coming from a period in the 19th century when we were a farming economy to the 20th century when we were a manufacturing and a services economy. I think in the future, we're going to be an attention economy. That is the business that we're all in, and this is a book about the best strategies to succeed in that world.
You talk about that we're living through the industrial revolution of attention. What role has social media played in this revolution? Almost
all the technology of the last 30 years has gone into attention-grabbing industries like communications. And the same way that the machines changed the way that we lived in the 19th century with urbanization, social media has changed the way that we communicate, it's changed the way that we organize, it's even potentially changed politics as we've seen in the 2016 election. So social media is playing an enormous role in our lives that we're still trying to figure out, the same way that people in the middle of the Industrial Revolution were trying to figure out how these new technologies, new economics, were going to change their lives.
How do you think about social media when compared to more traditional types of media?
Well, what we've clearly seen is that some traditional types of media have declined tremendously. But at the same time, a lot of these legacy, old media companies are investing in new media, right? You have shows that you can watch on television or on your phone or on a tablet. And so in many ways, it's not so much the new consuming the old, but the new and old blending together in such a way that we can there are more options for an individual consumer to watch on both old and new devices.
With the rise of social media, we've also seen the social influencer come about as well. How important are they in our actual society today?
They're unbelievably influential in terms of the broadcasting power they have. It's interesting because at a time that all of us like to talk about virality, oh, that went viral, that went viral. What happens when Justin Bieber or Kim Kardashian tweets or snaps something out? It's not virality at all. It's a broadcast. It's a 1 to 1 million or 1 to 10 million broadcast, and a lot of popularity comes from that. So social media influencers are actually a perfect example of how virality is a myth.
So we've talked about the cross-section of both pop culture and the economy. How does the economy drive what we may perceive as cool?
In the early 21st century, one of the coolest brands in apparel was like the symbol of cool in a high school hallway. And then the Great Recession happens. Essentially, all these kids who used to want to show off their wealth suddenly found that showing off wealth was actually really uncool. And so in an interesting way that I don't think many people appreciate, it was a macroeconomic trend that reshaped the idea of coolness in retail.
With all the changes we've seen in terms of distribution of content and how we interact with content, what are you the most excited about next?
In lots of ways, it might have been easy to predict 20 years ago that radio was in decline, that audio was dead, that the future was going to be the most visually rich stuff, like 3D movies and virtual reality. But what's the hottest media trend right now? It's podcasts. It's just radio to go. But in fact, what television did by kicking the radio set out of the living room is it freed it to be mobile. And so now radio is benefiting from a heyday, from a golden age, because it adapted, it evolved, and it still performs in a weird way that old job that we always needed it to perform, which is to give us ideas through our ears that we can sort of create images with our heads.
Derek, I want to thank you for stopping by.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.